In this video, we're going to take a look at how we can host a website on Google Cloud using Docker. So what I did is I created this website on my local host, and I'm mapping experiments.wpgains.com to my local host, and everything seems to work fine. And now I just want to move this experiments.wpgains.com from my local server to Google Cloud so that I can share this with the rest of the world. The first thing I'm going to go is go to Google Cloud Platform and create a project by clicking here. I need to write the project name, so I will give it the same name as my website, WP Gains Experiments, and create it. Once I created the project, it takes a while for the project to get ready. As you can see, it says creation in progress. And once it's created, I just click on it to open that project. So I have the project open. First things first, we need to create an SSH key, and we can do that by going here and typing SSH. And then you can see a screen like this. I'm going to click on add SSH keys. This is where we need to paste a public key, but in order to paste one, we need to have one. So we can go here back to our command prompt and create one for ourselves. I have OpenSSH installed on my Windows, and I think normally it just comes installed with Windows 10. If this command doesn't work for you, then you might need to install OpenSSH. So the command is ssh-keygen followed by -f, and then the file name, let's say gcp key. The passphrase, I'm going to leave it empty for now. And then we can see these two keys are created immediately. So pub is the public key that we need to paste here. And I can do it by writing type gcp_key.pub. There's my SSH key. I will copy it all the way until here. The last part, this is the username that it will use to log in. So I can change that to something, let's say Ubuntu. And you can see the username changed here. I will save my key. So we have uploaded the public key, which means that in order to log into cloud VMs, we need to use our private key. We'll talk about it in a bit. But now I can go back to VM instances and start creating my first VM instance. I will click on the create button. Let's call it WP Games Experiments Instance 1. I want it in Europe, close to my home. And here's the type of machine that you want to use. And you can see the costs involved in running this machine. So I'm going to use the cheapest one. So I'll just go to the F1 Micro, which is the cheapest instance. Once I have selected that, I need to select my operating system. I'm going to select Ubuntu because I'm more familiar with Ubuntu, but a lot of companies also use CentOS or Red Hat. Yeah, Ubuntu is easy, just stick with Ubuntu. And the rest of the settings, I will leave them as they are. And here I need to allow HTTP and HTTPS traffic, otherwise I won't be able to connect to my VM. And now I create on, and then it'll take a while until the VM has started and is ready to serve us. We will also get an external IP that we can use to connect to the website. Okay, there is our IP address. When I try to connect it, of course, I'm not able to connect it. Also, this is trying to connect to HTTPS. We should be trying to connect to HTTP because we don't have any SSH certificates installed. But yeah, it's not going to connect because nothing's running there. But we need to use this IP to SSH. And we can do that by using this command ssh ubuntu, since Ubuntu is the username we created, @ followed by the IP address of the host. This is not going to work, and the reason is because we are not using the GCP key that we just created. It's trying to use my default SSH key from my home directory, and it fails because it's an identity mismatch. So in order to provide the GCP key, first we need to make sure that we are in the same directory as wherever the private key is, because that makes it easier. And then after SSH, we actually give a -i argument followed by GCP_key. So this is where we use our private key and not the public key, because public key is probably already in the host and we need to match it with the private key. Let's see what happens. Voila, we are logged in into our cloud instance. And you can see here we have a system load of 0.6. We have 100 processes running. We are using about 15% of our 10 GB provisions and about 35% memory. This is the point when I start installing my favorite basic stuff. So, but before doing that, we need to run this command to update everything. So sudo apt get update. This will update the package locations of all the packages that we can download. The next thing I will run is sudo apt-get upgrade, and this is when we will upgrade all the individual packages. So in my case, I need 10 megabytes more space to upgrade everything. I'm gonna allow it to happen. And we have everything updated and ready to work on. So this is the time when I try to install all my favorite packages, or that help me run my commands faster or take control of this machine in a better way. Sudo apt get install htop. This is a task manager, and Byobu. So these packages were already installed in this image. Let's see what Byobu is. It's my favorite. So we need to enable it first by running this command. And then start it by running this command. There we go. So now we are in the Byobu instance, which is like a terminal inside a terminal. But the best part about this is I can split screens like this. Look at that. So I can have as many split screens as I want, which means that I don't have to write a command and wait for it to finish until I want to write a different command. At the same time, I can also have my task manager up and running to see if there's any problem going on or if something's consuming a lot of memory or something. Okay, having done that, we need to install Docker. So we are going to go to the Docker's website, or we will just search Docker install and go to the official Docker website, and let's take a look at how we can install Docker. These are the instructions for Windows, but I need instructions for Docker engine on Ubuntu. So the first thing it says is that we need to run this command to remove any previous instances. We don't have them, but we'll just run them once again. And the next thing it wants us to do is install using the repository. I am not gonna do that because there's also an easier method to install it directly from the official Docker website, which is installing it from this package. There is also this really nice script that I can use. So it's get.docker.com, and this is the script that we can use to install. So here's the command to do that. This is the curl command, which will download the script, and we have the script now. And then this is the command that we will use to install it. I'm going to close this screen for now. And at the end of this installation, we should already have Docker up and running. Let's see how it goes. Yep, there we have it. Docker engine installed, version 19. We can also check that by running the docker --- version command. Let's take a look if we also have Docker compose. We do not. So then we need to go to the instructions of Docker compose and install that as well. So here I can click on Linux. This is also available through this really simple script, which we can copy and paste here and then run it or make it executable and move it to bin and then try testing the command once again. There we go. We have version 1.26. So this was not a script, but it was the executable itself. We just downloaded the file and then moved it to the bin folder. So we have both Docker and Docker Compose up and running at the moment. Let's verify on our task manager if the Docker is running. You can actually clearly see it here, or the Docker service is running there. Okay, so it's time for us to create our Docker containers. And we already have our scripts or our Docker Compose file to do that for us. But there should be a way for us to move all of these files, which are sitting here on our local machine, to somewhere on our server before we can execute them, right? So let's see how we can do that. So I'm in /home/Ubuntu. I'm going to make a directory called experiments.wpgains.com and move into that directory. So before we can run our Docker Compose, we need to move everything from this folder on my local machine to this path on our VM. And let's see how we can do that. At this point, I will open another command prompt. This time we are going to use scp to move files, and scp uses SSH to transfer files, and it also comes with OpenSSH, I think, or I don't know, it was pre-installed in my case. So we need to know the IP address of our host, which is this, and then the command is, so first I will list the files that I have here, and the command is scp-i. Because it is based on SSH, we also need to provide the GCP key. And then the file that I want to transfer, let's try with .env file, and I want to transfer it as user Ubuntu on this host. I'll get rid of HTTPS, but I also want it to reside in this folder. So I will copy that, paste it here, and with a slash. Let's see if this works. 100%. So the file is copied. Let's take a look at it here. Nothing, but it is actually here. The dot files don't show up with ls command. I need to run ls-a. There we can see the env file is here indeed. Similarly, I want to copy Docker Compose as well. So let's do that. Docker compose.yml. And we also want to copy the config folder. The config folder didn't transfer because it's not a file, it's a directory. So I can pass directories by adding a R flag. There we go. Let's take a look here again. Great, we have the env file, we have the Docker Compose file, and we have the config file. So now it's time to set up the containers. We are going to run the same command that we are used to running, which is Docker Compose up-d. So it says Docker Daemon is not running. I think at this point I need to debug a bit to understand what's going on. Yeah, so since our Docker daemon is running as root, we might actually have to add sudo to our docker compose command as well. There we go. It started creating. Pulling images, MariaDB first, extracting images, pulling WordPress, pulling Nginx, creating containers from those images. There we go. We have them running. Yeah, our images are running. So let's take a look if we can see an instance of WordPress here. I have to get rid of HTTPS because it's HTTP at the moment. And there it is. WordPress is indeed there. So that's it for this video. We got our WordPress up and running inside a container on a Google Cloud virtual machine. But that is not the end of it, because this is the website we were working on, and we also need to migrate the database. And I'm going to do that in the next video. So stay tuned and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.